Today, we will discuss the step transaction doctrine in federal income taxation. My name is Chad Cummings, and I am an attorney and a certified public accountant serving clients in matters of business, tax, and commercial law throughout the states of Florida and Texas. I am Chief Executive Officer of the firm Cummings and Cummings Law. I also teach business law at Florida Gulf Coast University and hold 4 degrees, including 2 law degrees, together with a variety of tax, financial, and accounting credentials, which I apply for the benefit of my clients in my law practice. Our firm website is www.cummings.law. The step transaction doctrine is a crucial concept in tax law, serving as a tool for the Federal Internal Revenue Service to scrutinize and potentially recharacterize a series of transactions. This doctrine is applied to prevent taxpayers from circumventing tax obligations through a series of seemingly independent steps that, when viewed as a whole, achieve a specific tax avoidance objective. Understanding this doctrine is essential for both taxpayers and legal professionals, as it underscores the complexity and intricacy of effective tax planning. At its core, the step transaction doctrine allows the IRS to collapse multiple steps into a single transaction if the individual steps lack independent economic significance. This means that even if each step appears legitimate on its own, the overall transaction could be recharacterized based upon the intent and outcome. This doctrine is often invoked in cases where the taxpayer's primary motivation is to achieve a tax benefit that would not be available if the transaction were viewed in its entirety. The step transaction doctrine is typically evaluated through 3 primary tests: the binding commitment test, the interdependence test, and the end result test. Each test offers a different perspective on how the IRS may view a series of transactions. The binding commitment test examines whether there was a binding obligation to complete the series of steps from the outset. If such a commitment exists, the IRS may view the steps as part of a single integrated transaction. This test is relatively straightforward, but is rarely used due to its stringent requirements. The interdependence test considers whether the individual steps are so interdependent that the legal relations created by one step would be fruitless without the completion of the entire series of steps. This test focuses on the relationship between the steps, assessing whether each step has independent economic significance. The end result test evaluates whether the series of transactions were intended from the outset to achieve a particular end result. If the steps were pre-planned to achieve a specific tax outcome, the IRS may recast the series of transactions as a single transaction. This test is often the most frequently applied, as it allows for a more comprehensive assessment of the taxpayer's subjective intent. One common misconception is that the step transaction doctrine only applies to complex transactions involving large corporations. In reality, it can and does apply to a wide gambit of transactions, including those involving individuals and small and medium-sized businesses. The applicability of the doctrine is not limited by the size or complexity of the transaction, but rather by the taxpayer's motivation and the relationship between the steps. Another misconception is that simply following legal formalities will protect a taxpayer from the application of the step transaction doctrine. This is not true. While adhering to legal formalities is certainly important, the doctrine focuses on substance over form. This means that even if each step is legally and independently valid, the IRS may still apply the doctrine if the overall transaction lacks economic substance or is primarily motivated by the objective of tax avoidance. Taxpayers often significantly underestimate the ability of the IRS to scrutinize transactions and recharacterize them under the step transaction doctrine or its sibling, the sham transaction doctrine. This can lead to unexpected tax liabilities, penalties, and interest. Therefore, it is imperative to engage an experienced attorney and CPA who can provide guidance on structuring transactions in a manner that will withstand scrutiny by the service. Given the complexity and potential consequences of the step transaction doctrine, seeking professional guidance at the outset is essential. An experienced commercial law attorney working together with a CPA can help taxpayers navigate the intricacies of tax law, ensuring that the transactions are structured in compliance with both the letter and spirit of the Internal Revenue Code and Treasury regulations. Professionals can provide valuable insights into the application of the doctrine, helping taxpayers understand how their transactions might be viewed by the IRS. They can also assist in documenting the business purpose and economic substance of each step, which is crucial in defending against the application of the doctrine. Moreover, engaging a professional can help identify potential red flags and develop strategies to mitigate the risk of IRS scrutiny. This proactive approach can save taxpayers significant time, money, and stress, further underscoring the value of expert guidance in tax planning. Several courts illustrate the application of the step transaction doctrine, providing valuable lessons for taxpayers and for professionals alike. For example, in one case, the Supreme Court applied the doctrine to recharacterize a series of transactions as a single taxable event, emphasizing the importance of substance over form. In another case, the United States Tax Court applied the interdependence test to determine that a series of steps lacked that crucial independent economic significance requirement. This case highlights the importance of ensuring that each step in a transaction has a legitimate and independent business purpose beyond mere tax avoidance. These cases also demonstrate that the step transaction doctrine is not simply a theoretical concept, but in fact a practical and lethal tool used by the IRS to enforce tax compliance. Understanding these real-world applications can assist taxpayers and professionals better anticipate proactively how the doctrine might be applied to their own circumstances. The step transaction doctrine is a powerful tool in the armamentarium of the IRS, designed to prevent tax avoidance through the manipulation of transactional steps. Its application is complex and nuanced and requires a deep understanding of tax law, making competent professional guidance indispensable. By understanding the doctrine's tests and common misconceptions, taxpayers can better structure their transactions to withstand IRS scrutiny. Engaging an experienced attorney and CPA is, as I've said a number of times by now, essential to navigate these complexities and ensure compliance with applicable law. Ultimately, the step transaction doctrine serves as a reminder of the importance of substance over form in tax planning. By prioritizing legitimate business purposes and economic meaning, taxpayers can minimize the risk of subsequent IRS challenges and maximize the likelihood of achieving their tax objectives in a compliant manner. Again, my name is Chad Cummings, and I hope that you found this information useful. As always, the information in this video is general in nature and is not legal advice, because legal advice, by definition, must be specific to a particular set of facts and circumstances. Should you have any questions regarding this information or the content of any of my earlier videos, please visit my firm website at www.cummings.law, not .com, but .law, to schedule time for a consultation. I look forward to the opportunity to speak with and perhaps even work with you very soon.